Hey guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. This week we're going to talk about one man's trash being another man's treasure. When it comes to automotive parts, a lot of the time there's random bits and pieces that are very vehicle specific that not just anybody can use. So a couple years ago, I scoured Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace looking for a tailgate. I did not care what this vehicle came from. I did not care the color or any of that stuff. I really just wanted a tailgate because what I wanted to do was build a park bench with a tailgate back. And I also looked for, random bumpers that I could use to finish the front piece. And I'll show a picture of what that looks like here. And so after getting that that tailgate, I was super excited. Now, what you see there is a blue tailgate. When I bought that, I did find a guy on Facebook Marketplace who had at some point in his life restored a couple of K5 Blazers. Now, K5 Blazers are funny because they ran almost 20 years. I want to say the first year was like 73. They ran all the way up to something like 91. And they'd had different body styles and, facelifts and all that stuff. But for the most part, those tailgates did not change much. I want to say they are 100% interchangeable between the years. So this guy, I contacted him and I didn't tell him what I was going to use it for. I just said, hey, I'm interested in your tailgate. I think in the ad he said he had 3, but I don't recall. I go and I look at it, and if he didn't in the reply or in the ad, that point he did say, Josh, I've got 2 others. I've got 3 tailgates total. So I thought to myself, well, cool. Maybe what I do is I buy all the tailgates. I build a couple of park benches. I keep one for myself and I sell one to recoup the cost. So essentially I've got a park bench for free. Well, that almost worked. I did go ahead and buy all 3. I did go ahead and build 2 benches. Those 2 benches, one of which is in my yard today. The other, I ended up donating to a nonprofit's charity vintner's dinner where it was auctioned off for several $100s, and that's awesome. That's great. I mean, it didn't put money back in my pocket like I'd kind of intended. But at the same time, I knew I still had one more tailgate that I could theoretically build a park bench with. Well, that park bench and bumper sat and sat and sat, and it's been sitting for more than a year. In fact, probably like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. And I just don't have the time or the energy to build another park bench, and I know that. So I decided I'm just going to sell that tailgate with the concept of whoever buys it can build a park bench. I've got the extra bumper. I don't even think the bumper goes with the K5, but who cares? And I even had 4, I think, miscellaneous pallets that were in excellent condition that I basically took a picture of it all and said, for $125, this can be yours. Now, I got a couple of, is this available types of responses. And, quite frankly, I do entertain every one of those, regardless if it's wasting my time or not. It's not hard for me to reply yes. And then if I never hear from them, I never hear from them. But a couple days ago, I had 3 people all in one day message me. And this is after not seeing any activity on that post in a couple of weeks. And 2 of the 3 were from out of state. I'm in Oregon. One was in Montana and one was in, I think, North Dakota, I believe. Well, the long and short of it was they both wanted it real bad, but one of them didn't want me or wanted me to ship it. They said, basically, Josh, if you can get a shipping quote, we're happy to pay whatever we have to pay, but if you can handle the logistics of shipping it. So I told him, I said, okay, I'll look into it. It's super heavy. I mean, those things are solid steel. They weigh a ton. But if I can ship it for a reasonable price, I'll let you know, and then we'll decide if you want it or not. But my price is firm. I want $125 for it. That's that. Great. So I tell the guy, okay, cool. I will start investigating shipping prices. Well, in the meantime, another guy replies and is also interested in the tailgate. And this is the Montana guy. He says, well, listen, I've got some family in Portland. I don't make it to Oregon much, but somebody from Portland, I'm sure, can come down and pick it up. I'd like to just Venmo you $125. I will buy it right now, sight unseen. You don't have to deal with shipping it. Someone will come and collect it from you sometime real soon. And I said, that's fine, no urgency. It's been sitting for like 2 years anyway. What's another week or two? So sure enough, he Venmos me the money, all is well. Moving forward, a couple days go by, he sends me a message and says, Josh, I'm gonna have a freight company come and pick it up because none of my family in Portland is available anytime soon, and none of them are gonna make it over the mountain to come get it the way I thought that somebody could. So I'm gonna go ahead and just find a local freight company. Okay, let me know what I need to do. So only an hour maybe goes by, and he gets back to me and he says, okay, Josh, I found a shipping company. They're like 5 minutes from your house. They're gonna come and pick it up tomorrow. What I need you to do is keep the bumper, because I don't want the extra weight. Keep the pallets. He said, if you can tie it down, the tailgate down to one of those pallets, they'll come and collect it from you, and they're gonna ship it to me. And I'm like, holy smokes. The guy's name is Joel. Holy smokes, Joel. What is that gonna cost you? Like, how much does that cost to ship a tailgate that has gotta weigh 100 pounds to Montana from Oregon? He goes, well, the shipping quote was like $425. So I'm like, dude, you're paying $550 for an old used tailgate. Now, this is where it gets pretty interesting. Now, he had requested a ton of photos, a ton. I sent him probably 15 or 18 photos, and that's a lot when it's one piece of metal. It's a tailgate. But I took pictures of each corner, each side, from both angles, the front, the back, the top, the bottom, you name it. He saw a photo of it. And at the end of our conversation, he essentially said, this is the best tailgate I've seen in a long time. They are so incredibly hard to find for K5 Blazers. And that's where my astoundment began. Because I'm thinking, all right, Chevrolet had to have produced across 20 years 1 million K5 Blazers, right? I mean, production was anywhere from like 30 or 40,000 to like 90,000 across 20 years. There's got to be 1 million Blazers built and sold. So where did all these tailgates go? Now, granted, I had 3 of them. I had a small percentage of the greater good, but he said he's been looking for a long, long time and has not found one this solid. He also had said he's to the point now where it's almost desperate because he had finished his project to a point where he needed a tailgate to get bolted on so he could take the whole K5 off to paint. He's restoring this thing. I don't know exactly what year it is, but what he implied is that it's an older one. It's probably a early to mid 70s. And so $550 for a used old tailgate. Now, I'm gonna kind of digress this story and tell you, when I bought the three tailgates, I believe cost me $100 bill. Pretty sure I spent $100 and I got all 3. And the guy even threw in one bumper for me because it was an extra that he had laying in his yard or something and wanted it gone. So he thought, well, hey, if you're gonna buy these 3 tailgates, maybe you could use a bumper. So with that in mind, I had a bumper immediately. And that's actually the bumper that's going with this last tailgate. It was one of the nicer bumpers that I had, but at the same time, it did have a little bit of rust on the bottom. And so I intended on restoring that a little bit better, or at least sanding off the rust and sealing the chrome. I wasn't going to pay to have it re-chromed. That's too much money for something that's ultimately just going to be sat on outside. But anyway, so the reason that I'm telling you this story is those tailgates, I mean, that's just one example of a part that is incredibly specific. Now, that tailgate would fit a Suburban of the same era. So a 70s, 80s, very, very early 90s Suburban. Again, 91, I think, was the last year of that style. If I had an 80s Suburban with the roll down window. Now this was a tailgate that had glass inside of it. Now I don't have the glass, but there was glass. I think I sold the glass off separately. Somebody wanted it, and I had two sheets that I was not going to use for my park benches. So I sold the glass out of there, and now I sold this one tailgate without a bumper for $125. I've recouped all the cost of my original bumper, or my original tailgates. What I didn't recoup yet is the lumber, but then that's okay. I mean, when I did the first tailgate bench, like I said, maybe a year and a half ago, lumber wasn't that expensive. It was right before the last lumber hike. So it was all 2x4s and 4x4s. And then I painted the whole thing with really inexpensive indoor-outdoor paint. And yeah, I mean, I can't remember if I sold the sheets of glass or not, but I remember the person that the glass went to, I think I did sell them. I just don't remember for what. But anyway, the guy that took the glass, I had two sheets. One was tinted from the factory and one was clear from the factory. I gave them both to him because I had no need for either one. You know, in hindsight, I probably could have kept one, included it with this tailgate. And if I was selling it to an enthusiast who was restoring a K5 Blazer, in all likelihood, I could have got a lot more money out of it. The reason that I picked it up was because apparently nobody local needed a K5 tailgate. So I got 3 for $100, built 2 benches, sold the third one off. And really these tailgates, unless you're a K5 guy, mean nothing. They do not fit anything else. So, I mean, once again, right? This guy was trying to give them away. I paid him $100 for 3. And then I found this other guy who just has to have one. And this is the best example he could find. One man's junk is another man's treasure. And this is a great example of that. So he was willing to pay me more than what I paid for all 3 for just the one, which, I mean, is shocking, but also not. Again, the thing probably weighed, I don't know, honestly, 75, 80 pounds. They're so heavy. And then by the time I strapped it to a pallet, it had to have been 100 pounds. So $400 and whatever to ship the thing is not a huge surprise, but it's just shocking that someone would pay, you know, $550 for a tailgate that's, I don't know. I guess they don't remanufacture them. They're not something you can buy new any longer anyway. And so he was at the mercy of whatever the market cost. And unfortunately, shipping is getting the best of him. So there's other examples of different parts and pieces to different things that I could share with you that are very similar. You know, I pick it up for dirt cheap because it is what it is. And then I go ahead and find someone who needs it and I'm able to make some money on the way. That's a great, fun way to kind of have a side hustle, if you will. I don't do it intentionally. Like I said, I bought the tailgates because I was going to build multiple benches primarily to sell them to cover the cost of my own. So I would have, I mean, essentially a free park bench that's super awesome in my yard. I just about did it and donated one to a good cause, which is a bonus. That's really all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to share that story with you. You know, we'll see. The pallet has been picked up. It is on its way. I mean, I've got to imagine it's going to get just to him just fine. I don't know. It's just so expensive and so crazy. And I have no idea how long it takes to truck a pallet from Oregon to Montana. I mean, I can't imagine more than a couple of days, but unless you're on a shipment already going there, I suppose he's at the mercy of whenever a truck goes that direction. So whatever, we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. But in the meantime, remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.